Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer had a very shiny nose. And if you ever saw him, you would even say it glows. What do you reckon?
I just really, really desperately want somebody to help me. I really do. Bearing in mind this is day 4 of 14, which means I've got 10 more days of that to go.
I am going to get you singing by the end of the. I'm telling you now, if you are not singing a Christmas carol by the end of this series, I have failed.
Well, there's something for people to look forward to, isn't there?
Anyway, good morning, everyone. How are we doing? Nichola is choosing the topic today, and I'm very nervous because it could be anything.
Well, you should be. And as punishment for being so chirpy and singing Christmas carols, um, I thought that today we could talk about and you need to make a noise once I say the title so people can see your face because it's more fun. I thought we could talk about the difference between coaching and mentoring.
No, no,
Yes,
no.
yes.
Oh, Nick, no, it's too early. It's only 9:30.
I love it. I love it. This, right, that just for people who are watching, the reason why I've picked this topic, right, is I'm absolutely passionate about people understanding the difference between these two. And when Vic and I started up our business, she one of the things that I love about her is that she's really comfortable to admit when she doesn't know something, which is why we work well together because we're both comfortable. And I was like, one of the things I'm really passionate about is the difference between coaching and mentoring. And Vic's like, what was your like reaction then, Vic?
Um, well, it was a bit like this. I was a bit like, at what point do I tell her that we've just launched this massive business and I'm really good at everything I do? However, this is something that I can't determine what's the difference. I was sort of a bit like, how do I tell this woman?
Got Scooby. Haven't got a Scooby. So we did like a number of different conversations, like really like we call them business meetings. They're just us prattling around and chatting together. But we do call them like sometimes we call them directors meetings, don't we? But we had and it was on the agenda a couple of times, wasn't it? To really drill down. Um, because it's so important if you work with people that you get the difference between these two things because they're two of the tools that sit in your toolbox, and it's knowing like when which one is appropriate, and it's also practicing the two skills, getting really used to those tools so that you can become really effective with them. I'm going to have so much fun this morning. Stick, what's your understanding of mentoring? Let's go easier. I'll go easy on you.
Right, so mentoring, you're really putting me through my paces today, aren't you? Like live on screen. Jeez. Right, so mentoring, I believe to be something that you help someone with that you've had experience with, right? So you have had personal experience with this particular subject, job, line of work, etc. And you can actually put your real life experiences into play and mentor them, be a bit of an accountability partner, give them your experiences, your ideas, that sort of thing. Am I right in that?
I'm like, if I had gold stars, they'd be fluttering down the screen. Like,
Woo!
absolutely is. And thinking about like when you're working with people in your own business, mentoring's like when somebody can see that like you, as you said, Vic, that you've been there and you've done that, and they're coming to you for advice. So it's very much in a good way to think about it with mentoring. The other person is going to be asking the questions and you're going to be providing the answers because you've been there. So it might be, let me think of an example. It might be, oh, Vic, I really want to up my followers on social media. Could you give me 2 tips on how to do that? So, like, Vic is going to share, she could just give me 2 tips, like, do this, do that. But as a mentor, she would probably share her experiences around that. So to be able to say, good news is I can tell you don't do these 3 things because I've tried them and they really don't work and you'll be tempted to. So can you see how like you're really sharing that experience? You'll be tempted to do this and it won't work because I've been there, done that, made that mistake. But these are the 2 killer things, and let me just tell you why they work. Balance of the conversation is going to be with Vic, not with me asking the question, because Vic's got all the experience and I want to tap into that. I've got like a notepad out. I'm writing this down. I really want to know. Anything else to add to mentoring, Vic, that springs to your mind? Because I know you do it a lot. You do a lot of mentoring.
I think I do a lot of mentoring with regards to, so I've got my network marketing team with Avon. I've also got my children, right? So there's a fine line between coaching and mentoring your children. We'll come on to that in a minute. But we've got, because I work in the field that I'm an expert in, that makes me a mentor more than anything else, because everyone who I am surrounded by tends to come to me for advice in that particular field. So for sales, for marketing, social media, because I actually work in the line of work that I give advice in, I tend to always default back to that mentor.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting that a lot of people can feel comfortable, whatever level it is that you're at in your business, even if you say, like, I'm quite new, but there's something that you've already done that you can share and you can mentor somebody with in your business. So the one that got Vic like really panicky, because it's whenever something's outside your comfort zone, that's like that first thing that raises in you is like coaching. And I guess for me, the easiest explanation of it is where I just said in mentoring, I'm going to ask the question and Vic's going to provide the answer, right? The simplest explanation is coaching is the other way around. So if I was coaching Vic, I would ask the question and Vic would provide the answer. Coaching is really, really different to mentoring. Um, and I'm gonna go on in a minute to a couple of like pitfalls that people like just literally head dive into in coaching. But I really want to get Vic to chat about, you mentioned it. We use the children because you were like, I don't know how to coach. Like, this is a skill I'm going to have to develop. I don't know where to start. I want to do it, like, but I don't know where to go. And so I immediately moved into coaching mode to get Vic to understand that she actually naturally possesses coaching skills because she's never been trained in them, but naturally does it. Do you remember we started off by talking about, I think I picked, because I don't know about children. I really don't understand what they can do at what ages. So I had to check, can Seb tie his shoelaces and can Grace tie her shoelaces? I think was my first question, like to find out. And Grace can absolutely do it, and Seb's learning. Is that, yeah? Just nodding. So learning. So do you remember, Vic, like where I went into? Okay, so Grace, who you know can do it, is asking you to tie her shoelaces. What would you say to her, Vic? How would the conversation go?
Well, it'd just be encouragement, right? Because I know that she can tie her own laces. So it'd be encouragement of, come on, you've done this before. Let's get it done. Where do we start? Let's take a seat. Right, we're going to get those 2 laces. Where do they go, Grace? You show me. You can do it.
And that is coaching, right? In its simplest form, because Vic isn't providing the answer for Grace because she's giving Grace the space to tap into the knowledge that Grace already has. Whereas if we were going with Seb and he had some shoelaces and he's just staring at you, would you take that same approach, Vic?
No, because he doesn't have that understanding. He hasn't done it before. He hasn't perfected actually tying his laces. So it's going to need to be a little bit different. So, yes, it's going to be encouragement. It's going to be really light-hearted. It's going to be, celebrating everything that he's doing along the journey. But what it's going to be is a little bit, right, this is how you do this. This is how you do that. And it's more of a step by step process because he hasn't done it before.
So just keeping it into business terms, and I know we're talking about kids, so you'd train him and you'd
Yeah,
coach Grace.
yeah, absolutely.
And part of the skill when you're working with people is figuring out what is most appropriate for the situation that you're actually in. And that's kind of the number one pitfall that I see people falling into is picking the wrong approach for the situation. So it's not that you're bad, you're broken, you're unskilled. But if you tried to coach Seb in that situation, he would very, very quickly get upset. Because he doesn't know the answer, so he's gonna be upset, and that's when you're going to see a full scale meltdown in a toddler because you're trying to coach him. What do you think you do next, Seb? And his answer is, I don't know. But because you're his mum and he's trying to please you, all you're going to get out is a temper tantrum because he doesn't know. Equally, we go to Grace and you start to do that training step by step approach with Grace when she already knows how to do it. How would she react to that?
Well, it's she's gonna be like, what the hell are you doing, Mum? Why are you trying to tell me something I already know? Like, don't patronize me.
Yeah, yeah. And it's thinking about that in your mind, in your business. If you find a conversation, I always think about magnets. Like, if you put, I never know which way around it is, whether it's the same side or opposite sides, but when you try and push magnets together and you've got it the wrong way round and you can feel them pushing against each other, like you can really feel the resistance. If you're having a conversation with somebody in business and you're feeling that resistance in the conversation, press the pause button because you're taking the wrong approach. You're in training when you should be in coaching. You're in tell when you should be in ask, or vice versa. And it's just pressing that pause button. Best way to press that pause button is just to ask a question. Question probably that you already know the answer to, so you don't have to 100% listen while you reset your brain.
Yeah.
Remind me how old the kids are, Vic.
Seven
Like,
and four.
right, that 2 seconds that Vic gave me that answer that I already know the answer to, because I said remind me, she's just like, all right, she's just momentarily forgotten. Gives me just enough time to reset and think, right, I'm on the wrong track here. I need to try a different one. And interest, how have you found? Because I know, like, it's been a pleasure watching you exercise your coaching muscle in business, Vic. How have you found it?
Do you know what? In all fairness, I've actually found it easier whilst doing it than I thought I would. It's just the initial thinking time of, right, what box is this situation? Because it's not a person, right? A person doesn't sit in this box because actually a person could need all three things. But it's what situation sits in this box. And that getting your head around that actually makes you an expert coach, and it's something that I've always wanted to become. And you find people, they'll do a coaching course online and it'll 2-3 hours, they've said, right, I'm now a coach, I'm a life coach, I'm a personal development coach, and I'm like, you're not. You're absolutely not a coach, because until you can define the three boxes, until you can work out it's situational based and not client based, you're never going to move forward. And I think it's vital. Also, with a client or a customer coming to us, it's vital they understand the difference between the three because we sell different packages. And it's they might book onto the wrong package and it might not be suitable for them. Now, lucky for them, me and Nick completely understand that can happen and we're very adaptable and we'll pop them onto the right package, right? That's just something we will do as coach, mentors, and trainers. But if someone's going to someone else and they're not as nice, they're going to be booking the wrong thing. So whether you choose to come to 360 Pathway, whether you choose to go to a different place, just have that understanding of, right, do I need training, coaching, or mentoring for this situation? And just work out which one it is.
I
And
think
if you're
this is
not sure, we do discovery calls, don't we, Nick?
that's, that's just what I was about to say, Vic, is that this is the reason why one of the like the big flags that we point arrows to is book a discovery call, because through having that short conversation, it's not long, just a short conversation, we can figure out, because it's happened. People come, I really want you as a mentor. And you have that discovery call with them, and you realize that actually they don't need that they already know what they're doing. They already know how to tie their shoelaces. Just keeping to that analogy, actually, what they need is some support with why they're not doing it, like understanding that, which is more likely to be coaching, us asking them questions to help them peel back the layers and figure out what the core problem is, providing a space that's really safe that they can do that in. Equally, it can happen the other way round as well. Somebody says, like, I really want you to be my coach. And then you find out that actually they're doing something for the very first time. They've got lots of skills, but this is a new path that they're on. And they're just looking for some guidance along that path. Like, there's so many forks on the path. How do I know? It's not which one to take in mentoring, but I don't understand the two options in front of me. Like, what are these two options and what's the consequences of them? Having somebody who's tried both of those paths and able to, without bias, go, this is what happens down this path, this is what happens down this path, which is going to be the best fit for you, is so much more helpful in that situation. And I can't tell you, like, when we're talking, you can't see the one who isn't talking, but I was beaming like anything as Vic's talking about situation, because that is the big thing that I really wanted Vic to understand when we started this business, and she's just totally embraced it. Don't think that you always coach Grace because she's older. Like it depends on what Grace is doing, whether you would train her, whether you would like mentor her and give her a bit of advice, like, I've been there, love, I've made this mistake, I want to help you with it, or whether you would coach, like, what do you think is the right thing to do here, Grace? When she knows, but wants you, she wants to take the easy route, doesn't she,
Mm.
and get you to do it for her. And the other reason I use kids a lot, even though I know nothing about kids, is I think people assume that they need to go on that coaching course. They need to go and do that. And unless you're going to go and do like a year's, 2 years qualification in something to become qualified, you certainly don't need a 2, 3 hour course. If parents can do it, and last time I checked, parents don't have any training, any qualifications in how to be a parent, but naturally you will coach your kids. If you allow yourself to do that thinking that Vic said, that's the hardest bit, is that pause. What do I need in this situation? You will find it's actually a skill that you naturally possess in just saying, what do you think the next step is? Why do you think you're feeling like that? How do you think you could approach this? Last top tip, because I think we've been going on a bit this morning because I'm so passionate about this. Last top tip, if you're not already, you've got to get comfortable with silence. If you've asked a really good question, the other person is going to want to think about it. So,
They are
for example, remind me how old the kids are.
7 and
Yes,
4. Sorry,
right.
that was, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, play, Vic. Like, how much thinking time do you need to answer that question, Vic?
not a lot. You
Yeah,
don't. It's
it's
instant.
there, right? But if I, oh, put myself on the spot here now, if I was to ask you, what do you think is the biggest developmental need that Grace has at the moment?
See, it takes me longer. I know the answer, but it takes me longer. And it's it, controlling her emotions is that developmental thing she needs right now.
And the best tip I can give you, two things to get comfortable with that silence. Number one, count inside your head because you'll be surprised it's not that long, right? Number two, watch their eyes because their eyes tell you if they're thinking. Like if they're just staring straight ahead at you with a like, help, help, I'm lost, I'm panicking, I don't know what to do. They're not thinking. As soon as their eyes move away from you, normally to the either left or right, I never remember which way it is, and normally like slightly up. That's it's literally what we do when we think. We go, if you see them doing that, for God's sake, don't speak because you've asked a killer question. You've asked a really good question that you are coaching somebody to finding their own answer with. And if you jump into that silence thinking, oh, this is uncomfortable, you just put like a great big guillotine down on that thinking space. So yeah, be really comfortable with silence. Count, watch their body language, and remind yourself that if there's a long pause, it means that you're doing a brilliant job. Anything
And
else
there
to
we
add?
are. I think we have just covered training, mentoring, and coaching in a nutshell. And we did that in 20 minutes. Guys, you absolutely do not need to be spending money on big courses. All you need to do is just reach out to the people who inspire you, to the people who you actually want to learn, to do the jobs, to do the things, to have the experiences and just try and soak as much as you can in. There's so many free bits out there. We have started providing more and more freebies now along our journey, and it's something that we're starting to build up a bank of different bits and bobs, different PDFs, downloads, videos. We're trying to give back so much value. So if you do want any specific, God, that's a hard word, topic covered, please do let us know. Pop it in the comments. But tomorrow I will be greeting Nick with another surprise topic, and we will see you then. Nick, what time are we on tomorrow? Is it 2 o'clock?
Oh, oh, let me check my calendar because I didn't know you were going to ask that. So it's in my calendar because otherwise, like, it doesn't happen. Friday. Yeah, you're quite right. It is. It's 2 o'clock.
Perfect. See you then, guys.
Bye.